So I think we're going to have a smaller class because it's 5 minutes past and we're usually always here on time. So I'm just going to go ahead and get us off. And let's start with a review of the agenda, which was emailed to each of you. So welcome to session 4. You should be able to see my screen at this time. And we're going to have a little change in the agenda because not everyone's here. So we're going to do this a little differently. So of course, I welcome you to session 4. This is we're mid-section towards Speechcraft, and this is going to be a phenomenal, awesome class because we are greeted by a Speechcraft chairperson, David Rasmussen, who comes to us from our neighboring district, which is not so neighboring, but yet and still, he's going to give us our educational presentation on vocal variety and body language. And if you remember, we've really been focusing and harnessing in on these 2 topics first. I'm going to do a effective evaluation PowerPoint, which was created by Toastmasters. And so I'm just going to go through that. And then I'm going to give an evaluation of David. We'll move into Know Your Purpose speeches. And thankfully, all of our speech crafters are here. So Evelyn will go first, followed by David, and then Sharad. And then we'll do a all-around evaluation, followed by me preparing for the next session 5. Although the only person who I have on right now is Hopina, who's going to do our Know Your Purpose speech. So Hopina, I hope you're ready. Today is yes.
No, next on the 14th, my grandmother passed away, so I'll have a funeral on that day.
Oh, no.
So I might not be able to attend on the 14th.
Well, hey, this is Zoom, and I'm pretty technical, so I wouldn't mind pre-recording your speech. And then we you don't get out of it, If David and Sharad and everyone doesn't get out of it, you don't get out of it. We can record your speech beforehand, and then we'll play it back.
All right, we'll see how that goes.
Yeah. And David's agreed to give the evaluation instead of Evelyn at the end. But we have a guest, and let me just take a minute to Brian to come off mute if you don't mind. Brian, would you introduce yourself and just say hello to us?
Hello.
Hey.
Hi.
Tell us a little bit about yourself, Brian.
What do you want to know?
Whatever you're comfortable with, I'm not trying to get too much into your personal space.
Well, I'm from Minnesota, and we have different time zones than New York.
Awesome. I appreciate that. That's cool.
It's an hour. It's an hour ahead. There. So it was like wrong time. I was like, oh, okay. So if you say 1, you mean 12.
Yes.
If you say 2, you mean 1.
Yes. And tell us, how long have you been a Toastmaster, or what's your relationship with Toastmasters? What's your experience?
I started my Toastmasters journey in 2007. And I was joined to 8 clubs for 2 years. And I've had an on and off love relationship with Toastmasters. So the DTM has eluded me several times, and now it's completely different.
Yes. And actually, this is my effort to my DTM. Speechcraft was one of the requirements. So you get to see what it looks like. And of course, you don't have to do Speechcraft, but hey, I found it to be fun, and hopefully I can motivate you to choose to do the same because it could be fun.
Well, that's the path I should have went through, but at the time, I was doing all the driving around and, trying to figure it out.
Yeah, we all have had those, I like to look at it as your Toastmasters journey. Some people have a direct journey. Some people have, a very wiggly journey. And I too, came in so focused and I was, okay, I want to do this. And then now it's 5 years later and I'm like, all right, I still want to do it. It's just, not going to happen tomorrow. It's okay.
Well, it's a click of a button now.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
No wasted gas.
Let's jump into table topics, and we're going to do a short table topics because since we had to wait for some people to understand. So Hopina, I'm going to start off with you. Hopina, describe something that's nearby you. And pick up anything and just describe something that's nearby you. You can even do the picture behind you.
I can do that.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay.
Tell us a story.
I have a great
2 minutes.
love. I have a great love for flowers. See, if you look all around me, you see picture frames with flowers, nice bright flowers with autumnish background, nice green leaves that tells of prosperity, and then I have smaller ones, more detailed. So I never forget the small details in life, the small things in life. My color goes with everything. Most of my pictures I have up, I keep them up all season, and I love it. I love flowers.
Keep going. You got a minute.
Okay. The picture frame is all embossed in goldish, which was one of my favorite metals. And then it goes with my scheme of my chairs and my other things in my room. I just love flowers. If you notice how they open up bright, it helps me to open up to all my surround and open up to all that is going on in my space, never closed. If I'm to choose, white goes with everything. It's one of my favorite colors. Orange goes with everything, also my favorite color. And that's it. I want to give you flowers this day.
Nope, we're gonna keep going. I'm gonna force you to go to a minute. Yep, you're gonna use the entire minute. I'm gonna force you.
Flowers is nature. You can't exchange nothing for nature. Nature is all around you. Flowers, I wish flowers is blooming all through the year. So what I do when flowers are not blooming, I have fake flowers in my house, which also I love. Thank you.
That was amazing. Thank you. I know you struggled because, I remember last time you had the same issue of trying to make it 2 minutes. So I just wanted to push you. I hope you don't mind.
No, I don't mind at all.
All right. Good. All right. Let's do another one. I'm going to do a question to Evelyn, actually. And Evelyn, can you show us something that is in your surrounding that you can tell us a story about?
A story about? Okay, I have, thank you, Maurice. To my right, I have 5 pictures and one, may I hold one up?
Yeah, please.
I have 5 pictures, and then I have this out of office, which is a little sign they gave me when I retired. But I will hold up one of the pictures and tell you a story. So this is a picture of my husband and I on our wedding day nearly 35 years ago. And we met in graduate school at the NYU Masters of Public Administration program. We started dating and we got married in March of 1987. And the rest is history. Out of the remaining 4 pictures, remember, one is the out of office that I held up. One is the wedding picture of my husband and I will hold up each of my sons. This is my son, Adam Meyer, who graduated medical school not too long ago. And the picture I have of my older son is Jacob Meyer. This is when he is a newborn. So that is my family. Jacob, Adam, my husband, Stu. I have pictures all over the house. I never like to throw them out. So these are just the ones near me. But when you go into my living room or the den, there are more pictures. During the pandemic, I had so many, I tried to box some up and put them downstairs in the basement because the house was getting very cluttered. Anyway, that really is my family story. Thank you.
Thank you, Evelyn. Thank you. All right. Well, that was so much fun. I think it's time to turn over to our featured speaker. And David, give me a chance to just let me know what is your, I'm sorry, here, give me 2 seconds here. I want to unpin. Okay. And then I want to change my background. You'll notice that I'm a little bit, 1 second, sorry. Here we go. Okay. David, help me here. You're doing 3, 4, and 5, or you're doing 5, 6, and 7? Where would you like the green, yellow, and red?
I'm to split the difference. Give me 4, 5, and 6.
You got it. Okay. And then I'm just going to pin you so that this way you can have the full attention. And David sent over a great biography, which I am happy to share with all of you. The title of his speech is Slow Down. David Rasmussen celebrates his 10th year as Toastmaster on October 1st. He lives in St. Paul, Minnesota, across from the soccer stadium, and is married and walks his first grade daughter to school each morning. He is past division director and current district Speechcraft chair. His club, Eloquent Engineers, has offered a Speechcraft class each of the past 10 years. Please welcome David Rasmussen.
Thank you. It's an honor. I don't think I've spoken in New York before. I've been there, but it's been a while. I have a lot to say. So what I'd like to show you is that I love acronyms. And let me show you some acronyms. You can get out your pencils. You can write some of these things down. Here's one acronym. This is the acronym for how I get over nervousness if I'm speaking. This is another important thing. That's actually what I'm going to be talking about today. I could give you another one. I don't think we would have time for this, but I could tell you how I benefit from Speechcraft. It's very tempting for me to want to tell you all of these things, even though I only have 4, 5, 6 minutes. Let's focus on this today. When we're taking our notes, let's focus on ABC. What is first thing about feedback and evaluation that we should know? And I would say the important thing about feedback and evaluation is the attitude is you should be giving an A. I want to show you these 2 textbooks. A long time ago, I got a chemical engineering degree. See these 2 textbooks? Which one do you think was the harder class for me to do well in? Think it was this one or this one? There was a whole lot of information in this class. I didn't know where to start. I had a professor that was a very helpful professor to the other professor because he understood all of this stuff. This was a hard class for me. This other class, we took it chapter by chapter. If I missed something on the test, I could go back and figure out what it was that I missed. By the end of the class, I felt like I understood this book. If you're giving feedback or if you're receiving feedback, it's really important to limit what you have to say. You want to say maybe one thing. You could go into a lot of detail about that one thing. I noticed something very specific about how your gestures were too fast during a certain part of your speech. That is a helpful piece of feedback because it's for a lot of reasons. If you tell me every single thing that I do wrong as a beginning speaker, guess what? It's as incomprehensible as this textbook. I'm not helped if I get that sort of feedback. I want something specific and easy. Now, Toastmasters provides lots of guidance in terms of the feedback that we give. They do want us to be honest. We don't make up stuff. If it's bad, we can say that we could have gotten more out of the speech. But we need to be helpful. We need to let people know what they can do differently. We need to be respectful. We need to be specific. We need to be positive, much more focused on what's good and what's done bad. And we need to be thoughtful. We're not trying to scare somebody out of the group. We want them to come back. We want the next speech. The B in my acronym stands for bow. What should we do when we get feedback? We should listen and nod our head, not argue. We should think about this. We have family members. How often do they give us 4 to 6 minutes of undivided attention? Almost never. The person is doing us a big favor by giving us feedback. We might not always agree with it. We don't have to always agree with it, but we should be very thankful that we received the feedback. Finally, third thing, C. If we want good feedback, we can collaborate. We can tell the evaluator what we're working on. It can be a joint process. It doesn't have to be just somebody randomly is telling us information about our speech when they don't really even know what we're looking for. Toastmasters has helped me tremendously. I could go through lots of acronyms with the MBA and such and tell you specifically, but I only have a limited amount of time here. I can tell you that feedback is one of the 3 ways that Toastmasters teaches us. The one way is we learn from the skills from the books and the manuals and such online. Secondly, we practice, and that helps us learn. Third, some human being is giving us ideas on how we can improve. The feedback is really, really helpful. Thank you for listening to my speech. I'd love to go on and on and on, but there is a time limit. I'm really looking forward to the feedback you have for me, Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Give me 2 seconds here as I try to return to the podium, the virtual podium, which shouldn't be this hard to click through. Can you see me? Yes, okay, cool. Oh, well, thank you so much, David. That was amazing. And there goes your red, that's your timer. Thank you so much. Let us do something a little different. So usually we do our educational portion at the end, but because David was so great in giving us a speech that we can use and evaluate, we're going to take a minute to do that now. And then we'll continue with the normal agenda that we may be familiar with previously. So I'm going to share my screen and let's do a PowerPoint. And give me a minute here just to change things around because, of course, do we have anyone who can tell a joke? Brian, I'm going to call on you to just an impromptu joke. How about that, Brian?
You want a joke from me?
Yeah. Give us something unusual. It's okay.
Okay, 2 cannibals are eating a clown. One looks at the other and says, "Does this taste funny to you?"
Does this taste funny to you? I like that. I like that. That's funny. Okay. See, everyone gets a chance to participate here. All right. So evaluate to motivate. Do you see the slides that are up now? Yes, no? Okay, guys, I'm not here by myself. Please. Who sees the slides? Woo!
I do.
All right, there we go. There we go. All right, thank you. And I'm just realizing you don't see me. Wait a second here. No one told me. Hold on.
You can't see you though.
Yeah, there you go. See, thank you. Tell me. I don't know. All right, evaluate to motivate. Thank you. So again, this is a presentation that was put together by Toastmasters in something that's called the Successful Club Series. So evaluations benefit speakers by providing immediate feedback, offering methods for improvement, and building and maintaining self-esteem. Similar to what David said, it's about that focus on the positive. It's really about collaboration. It's really about making a speaker a better speaker. So we don't rip each other up here. That's not our purpose at any time, right? We want to tell and sell. So when the evaluator talks, the speaker listens. Oftentimes we'll do it in distinct separate sections, much like the speaker did his speech uninterrupted. The evaluator will give his speech uninterrupted, or her speech. I like to think about the actual standards that come from a speech. And so much like David said, he and I went back and forth, right? And we spoke about, well, what speech best captures what he's going to show. And we chose vocal variety, and I also threw in body language, and he did do body language, right? He did a bow. So a speech is also an effective evaluation always has something called a sandwich approach, where you start with a positive, you go ahead with a recommendation, and then you end with a positive. So I want to make sure that that's the kind of format that we're looking for when giving evaluations. So during your evaluation, you choose your words carefully. You evaluate the speech and not the person, okay? One key thing here is avoid being disingenuous. So I'm not going to say, hey, I don't know what I would say that's disingenuous about, oh, okay, so you have a horrible smile, David. You just didn't smile enough, okay? That's not something that happened. So, and that's also something that he's already improved on, right? So you want to find something that's in alignment with what they're doing. And finally, connect to your opening statement. So something that I realized, and I took notes for David, and so you've heard me speak about a beginning, middle, and a closing. And I've kind of, while I may not have always mentioned it, I've always given the impression that we work in threes. And so David had an ABC approach, right? And I didn't capture the A. I'm going to be very honest. I didn't capture the A, but I did capture the bow, because when he did it, I was like, oh, shucks, because when we were in person, that's really what happened. Where it was really a firm handshake opening and a firm handshake closing with the Toastmaster. It really was a performance in some ways. And then the collaborate, so also a really important piece. But he gave a personal story. Did you see his personal story? How many people can show of hands if you heard his personal story? Did you hear something that was personal from him? Show of hands. Yes? Okay. And so he did this very well. Encourage the listeners to apply what they learned. Mm-hmm. So I want to thank you, David, for doing that. Again, we normally would take a minute to wait or not do evaluations at all. But because this class is on evaluation, I thought it was perfect to have you as the Speechcraft chairperson give our evaluation today. So I appreciate your time and thankfulness to do that. Let's go back to the agenda and let's see what's going to happen next. So let's talk about it, right? What was the good things that happened? I want you to put it in your chat. type in your chat your sandwich. So type in opening, type a positive opening. Just that's all you're gonna do right now. Type a positive opening, one line. Find your chat and type a positive opening. Send it to everyone so everyone can see what's going on. Using acronyms. Thank you, David. I wrote that I like the room setup. Your virtual stage is inviting. Sherrod says, use a nice and engaging opening by sharing screen. Yes. Take a minute to just wait for a few more.
Oh.
And then we're going to move on. David had an excellent message to convey about providing criticism. Yes. And because we're just going to do the positives here, we're not even going to go beyond that. We're going to go ahead and move to our purpose speeches. And Evelyn, you're doing a 5, 6, and 7. Is that right? Evelyn, come off mute.
Yeah, I think it's more like 5, but we could do 5, 6, 7, unless I could do 4, 5, 6 like
Sure.
David.
Yeah, let's do 4, 5, and 6. That's fine.
Okay.
All right. So I am going to encourage everyone to continue putting your positive messages to David in the chat. And we're going to move to our next speaker. And I am going to turn it over to Evelyn. Evelyn, I don't know the title of your speech. I'm sorry.
The title of my speech is, Are You Having the Conversation?
And I'm going to ask the others to give it to me as well. Are you having the conversation? David, you're next. Give me yours, David Olson. Do you have a title?
Oops, I'm sorry, I was on mute. What is life is my Know Your Purpose presentation.
What is life? Got it. And Sherrod? Your title.
Yeah, I think the same title, right? Because that was the given title in your agenda, right? That's from your agenda.
No, you can make up your own title. Know Your Purpose was just the topic. What you can give it any title. Do you have a title?
I will say Unity in Diversity.
Unique endeavors. Got it. Okay. So I can make sure I call it properly when I introduce you guys. Okay. So let's start off with Evelyn. Thank you, Evelyn. You're going to be timed at 4, 5, and 6. And Evelyn Dressler, are you having the conversation? Are you having the conversation? Evelyn Dressler.
Thank you, Maurice. Good afternoon, fellow Toastmasters. The purpose of this speech, entitled, Are You Having the Conversation?, is to enlighten you on an issue related to public speaking that, in my opinion, is frequently overlooked. Of course, we have all heard why public speaking is important: for work, for personal relations, to give a toast at a wedding or birthday party, or at the funeral of a loved one. Fellow Toastmasters, I will now read you some paragraphs from a letter I wrote, and I mean actually hand wrote and mailed via the US mail to my former boss at the comptroller's office. It is a letter of gratitude. By reading these paragraphs out loud to you, I think you will be able to see the issue I am talking about. But first, let me explain why I wrote this letter of gratitude. In the winter of 2021, I was reading the New York Times, which described how many folks are writing letters of gratitude at this point in the pandemic, probably because many people were reflecting back on the year they had. So I also decided to write one to my former boss of 15 years, someone I would also consider a friend today. Here it goes. Remember, these are just parts of the letter that I lifted, not the entire writing. Thank you for reiterating so many times during the years we worked together to, in quotes, have the conversation. You always advocated talking through issues before reaching a final decision on how to resolve or handle. It is easy to have the conversation in your head, but unless you talk it through with the involved party or parties, you may reach a decision that may not take into account all pertinent factors, or one which may be short-sighted. This is still part of the letter. I'm reading word from word. After I left the comptroller's office, I could not tell you how many times I reminded myself to, in quotes, have the conversation with the individual relevant to my decision, to actually pick up the phone and have it, rather than make the decision based solely on my own thoughts. The process of having the conversation may seem silly to some. What is she talking about? But you really drilled it in my head, how important it is. After I left, I quickly found out that this applies to all aspects of living, not just work. As I took up new endeavors in the midst of a global pandemic, I kept going back to your words of having the conversation. This applied to so many things I was involved in. An issue with my volunteer work at a not-for-profit for the elderly, how to deal with a medical issue I was having. This spring, talking through with a friend on where to meet now that we were vaccinated. And just last week, having a very difficult conversation with a friend where I explained my position on why I could not see her, being that she would not get vaccinated. It was very difficult, but I did it. I explained, it's not that I am angry or I want to discontinue our friendship. I just need to take a break from seeing her face to face. I explained my views and we agreed we would still remain in touch via phone or text for the remainder of the pandemic. Fellow Toastmasters, we are in Toastmasters to become better speakers, all of us. But I urge you to challenge yourself and ask the question I did. Are you having the conversation in your own head, or are you really talking it through with the correct party? Secondly, I would urge you to consider whether you are having the conversation by email, text, or other social media when it should be face-to-face or over the phone. Many times, texts or emails don't always convey what we want to say. I certainly find that. That is why I have the conversation like I did last week with my friend. Note that I did not use text or email for this conversation and took the thoughts in my head and turned it into words. Thank you for listening to my speech entitled, Are You Having the Conversation? I hope I have left you with some questions you can contemplate for yourself. Thank you.
Thank you, Evelyn. Thank you. All right, let's go ahead to our next speaker. David, are you ready? Yes, go ahead and unmute.
Yes, I am ready, Maurice.
All right. So I'm going to introduce David is giving a speech, Know Your Purpose, on what is life. David, what is life?
So Maurice, good afternoon to you and fellow Toastmasters, and I'm going to attempt to answer that question that I've posed here to my colleagues. So have you ever asked yourself, what is life? I mean, in a real thought-provoking way. So take a moment and truly ask yourself this question. Specific to me, I've also asked myself, what meaning does life hold as we evolve? It's a fairly tough question. So you're not alone if your thoughts are varied and change depending on circumstances. Nevertheless, I will answer this, and hopefully my thoughts will be corroborated by your own thoughts. But firstly, let's understand that the Webster Dictionary outlines life as a sequence of physical and mental experiences that make up the existence of an individual, from the period of birth to death. So we all understand that we live, and at some point that journey will end. So in response to the question at hand, we will focus on that journey today. That journey during the existence of life is intimately linked to a story. And that story commences with life from the stage of an embryo, requiring nutrition through the umbilical cord, as well as care and external protections of the embryonic sac. Until, of course, 9 months later, or just about, when the miracle of birth occurs with a new being, born to face the complex physical and mental experiences that we characterize as life. So as I go through this same thought-provoking question of what is life, I have personally come to embrace life evolving through some embodiment of 5 distinct elements until death. The first one is that this physiological need for nutrition, breathable air, and comfort and ambient temperature at a basic level. Fooding, clothing, consistent with cultural and climatic norms. Even reproductive propagation for our own lineage. 2 is our security and safety, whether it be financial or otherwise, pension, savings, healthcare. 3 is our social aspects of friendships, romance, family, societal, community. And 4 is our esteem. It's a sense of belonging. Lastly, the 5th one is self-actualization, fulfillment, confidence of attainment. My colleagues, we may or may not concur on this evolutionary order of these elements, though I'm inclined to believe that the very essence of these 5 elements bear some relevance to the complex understanding of what is life. In the end, it's personal, it's contextual, and unique to you. It's who you are as a beautiful human being, and at some point that journey will end, and hopefully we leave the cherished memory that lives on after that life has existed. Thank you.
Thank you, David. Thank you. Right. Let's go ahead to our final speaker. Sharad, are you ready? Unmute.
Yes, I'm ready actually.
There we go. All right.
I couldn't prepare a speech, so, but yeah, okay. Here we go.
Sharad is going to give you his Know Your Purpose speech on unique endeavors.
Yeah, unity in diversity.
And
So-
I'm going to give you 3 to 5 minutes. So the red will be at 5, the yellow will be at 4, and the 3 will be the green. Okay.
Okay.
All
Okay.
right. Go for it. You're on.
Okay. Today I'm very happy to be here and share my thoughts on the topic that I chose called unity in diversity. So basically, what's the meaning of unity in diversity? I would just want to explain, like I'm coming from a very different background when I came to this country. So I see, but the people are almost same everywhere, right? So I came from India, and the example for that is like just, there's a unity in diversity in India. There are different type of culture, different religions, and very different faiths, different socioeconomical differences between people. Some are very rich, some are very poor. But, after living here for almost 18 years now in US, I see that, basically the people are still the same. Here also, like there's so many different people that you interact with. All the citizens in the US are totally different, right? They also follow most the same religion, different religions that we follow in India. So, you know, I think that's I want to bring up, right? You know, your color of the screen, it's not the shape of your nose or chin or the color of your skin that makes you beautiful. A joyful face is always a beautiful face. This is a saying from one of our Indian spiritual leader, right, that I follow. So let me repeat it again. It's not the shape of the nose or chin or the color of skin that makes you beautiful. It's joyful face is always a beautiful face. So I think, you know, we should follow something similar and, you know, live in harmony among all the different people that we interact in, and just leave the world a better place than when we came in this world. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, that was a quick one. Let's go ahead and take 2 minutes. So everyone should, in the chat, you're going to follow the agenda and give me a response on you excelled at, right? These are the prompts you excelled at, you may want to work on, or to challenge yourself. And I will paste it in the chat, the prompts that you can use. Two minutes, okay? Everyone's taking a minute, and you can respond to anyone and everyone. You excelled at, finish the sentence. You may want to work on, finish the sentence, or to challenge yourself.
Maurice, I'm not sure what I'm doing.
In the chat, find the chat box. And then write to each of the speakers, one of the prompts, choose one of the prompts, and then write to each of the speakers. So make sure you say who it's for, okay?
Okay.
Evelyn, I forgot to ask you earlier, but are you okay with capturing who's the best speaker? Can you tally it?
Yeah.
Okay. So folks, if you would choose who is the best speaker and just put the name and send that to Evelyn, so Evelyn can tally that and give it to us in the evaluation, who gets the best speaker award for today's session. Ten seconds. Go ahead and just finish up what you are writing. Now, of course, you can continue to do your evaluations. So for the sake of time, I'm going to go ahead and continue with the agenda, which is preparing for session 5. We know that Hopina is going to give the next speech at session 5. I need a table topics master. David, would you be okay with volunteering for the table topics master, David? Oh,
Yes, Morris, that's fine.
thank you.
I'll just need to get some cues on all the nuts and bolts of that. Thank you.
Yeah, sure. I'll send you an email with some help.
Okay, thank you.
No worries. So I'm going to share my screen again. This is the halfway point, right? We're at session 4, right? We've done, all of us so far have done our icebreaker speeches. The majority of us have done our know your purpose speeches. And so now it's time to do the midpoint survey. I know I mentioned it in my email to you during the week, but if you haven't done it, please go ahead and begin to do your midpoint survey. Let me show you how to find it. If you are in the dashboard, one of the icons here, let's see, how do I do this? No. It looks a little bit different, I think, for you guys. All right, so let's in your resources. So you should have session resources. And in the resources is an evaluation that you want to, the midpoint evaluation. Sorry, guys, I didn't set this up properly beforehand. I want to make sure I show it to you. If you have a problem finding where to do the evaluation at, we can talk offline and make sure we get that done. But I wanted to definitely at least let you know that you should be doing it now, because then we're going to be doing the final evaluation at the end. Okay. For the sake of right now, I want you to find the chat again. And in the chat, tell me which of these that you've completed. Okay. So I'm going to share the menu here. So we have introduction, choose a topic, prepare to present, giving and receiving feedback, know your purpose, body language, how to evaluate, vocal variety, powerful words, and final review. Tell me which ones that I'm going to change it. Which ones have you not done? Which ones have you not done? And if you've done them all, that's fine. In the chat, just tell me which ones you've done, which ones you have not done yet.
I have not done.
Again, you're typing in the chat which one you saw. I'm sure everyone has done introduction. Everyone's done choose a topic. Everyone's done prepare to present. Those 3, I'm sure, right? Because you had to do those before you gave your icebreaker. So, and then we did know your purpose and body language. And I skipped around into vocal variety. So take a minute to just tell me which ones you have not done. We're going to transition into David's evaluation and Evelyn's announcement about the best speaker? Evelyn, do you have that ready yet? Just yes or no that you have your votes. tallied?
Well, I have 4 people voted that I counted, including myself.
That's perfect. Okay. So if you haven't voted yet and you want to, you should send that over to Evelyn now. Let's transition to David. David, please evaluate our session.
Thank you for inviting me to your session or our session. I thought that it was well organized. People didn't show up late. I thought you gave the appropriate time for people who might not be here to get here, and then just got with the program. I thought you did some good choices in terms of altering the agenda to make it flow nicely. I didn't see the evaluate to motivate on the agenda, but that seemed very appropriate after the speech that I had just given, and it belonged where it was. I enjoyed all 3 speeches, and I was impressed by the quality of all 3 speeches. The table topics I also enjoyed. I think that was a good way to start the meeting, and I noticed some good answers to questions that were, I think, at the appropriate level. To improve the meeting, it would be nice if you had more help. You need to get your club more involved. But I'm happy to be here, and I think you're pulling off. I think you're a very talented guy who's pulling off something difficult to pull off by yourself. And so I hope your students appreciate that they're getting a first class from you, even if they might not appreciate how much work it is you're going through. So overall, I really don't have anything negative to say. It's self-evident just listening to the people talk, Evelyn, David, Sharad, Hopina, that this is a very nice class.
Thank you. Thank you so much, David. Let's do a round robin, 30-second. Hopina, Sharad, and David, because David Rasmussen is the chairperson, and you guys may not know, so this is a different format where I'm doing a lot more than normally what would happen in a Speechcraft, because normally we'd have some other club members join in, and they would also take roles. But 30 seconds, what did you get out of it most in your last 4 sessions? Hopina, you start off with us. What did you get out most? And I'm gonna have to unmute you. Go ahead. Yes.
Okay, good. What did I get from today's session or overall?
Overall, what one takeaway, if you can celebrate something?
The sessions are not too hard pressed. They are quite flexible and allow you to be yourself. And then the coach, he like practically holding your hand to take you to that point, take you to that point of excellence, and that is what I wanted.
Thank you, Hopina. Sharad, 30 seconds. Just a quick shout out of,
Yes, I think, it's a very good platform to help everybody grow their, speaking skills. And as Hopina saying that, it's a very friendly platform. There's no pressure. You can, speak your mind and not burdened about, like too much of negative feedback. Feedback is good actually, but you can speak your mind in this type of sessions. Thank you.
Thank you. David?
Yeah, thank you. I guess in my case, it's quite often that I'm called upon to speak in the course of my work. And I can tell you that this session has really been helpful to me, even though I consider myself having some relative experience. There are so many cues that I'm picking up here, and I'm sort of reinforcing and learning and helping me to strengthen who I am. And one of the key things is really receiving feedback and being able to give feedback effectively. And I can tell you, I also do the same. And now I've learned, hey, this sandwich approach, I really liked when you spoke about that today, and it sort of will help me to be a more effective overall. So it has been very beneficial to me, and I appreciate it very much.
Thank you all. So David Rasmussen, you should know that I call on them to reinforce the impromptu speaking part. And I really do call this a masterclass. I really do think each of them are masters in this craft as we go on. Evelyn, can you announce our Best Speaker Award, please? Oh, wait, Evelyn, you're muted still.
So based on the chat, it doesn't seem appropriate to announce that I am the winner.
That's fine. It gets to rotate. So every time we've had a different person. So that's wonderful. Thank you so much, Evelyn. It's 2:00 and I want to close out, but I want to give Brian our chance to give some feedback and to lessons learned and what you think. Brian, can you come off mute and share? Are you still with us?
Yes, I'm still here. I'm thinking to ask, or maybe not ask, should you care about the road call or not? Because that's usually what people usually miss in Toastmasters.
When you say roll call, be more specific. What does that mean?
I mean, like, Mr. Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, most honored guest. Do we really care to do that? Do you want that afterwards? Because that's the thing that's missed the most.
Yeah, I'm not that formal. Personally, I'm not that formal.
Right, but I'm like, that's the feedback. I mean, just listen.
Okay.
It's really just listen and be consistent.
Yeah.
Which is not easy to do.
Yes. And David, I'm sorry, Brian, you know something from other Toastmaster meetings that is something that's seen. And so because of Speechcraft as a real introduction, they haven't seen other Toastmaster meetings. So, and that's exactly why I haven't done that. Too much also to the point where, and you can hear it, I would do an ah counter and an counter. It's not really needed here. So why bother? The people who are speaking here, that's not their biggest challenge. Their biggest challenge is being impromptu, being called on. And as managers for New York City agencies, that's one of the hardest struggles, is being called up from when you're sitting in the chair in the back of the room, not paying attention, to be asked, okay, what do you think about this?
Well, if you noticed, if you want, when you get called on, it's repeat the question. Make sure you get the question repeat so you get that 2 seconds to give the answer.
Yes.
If you notice, because I got called on the spot twice.
Yes.
And I said the wrong joke.
Oh, no.
No.
Yeah, I did. I should have went with the cookie at the doctor.
Well, tell us the cookie at the doctor. Yeah, we're going to close with a joke today, guys. Tell us the cookie with the doctor joke, please.
Well, the cookie went to the doctor. Why was the cookie at the doctor? Why did the cookie go see the doctor?
Why was
I know you guys know this. Because it felt crummy.
Thank you, everyone, for joining. Our next session is September 14th. I look forward to seeing you there. Have a great 2 weeks and be well.